Hi, Emily. Thank you so much for hosting this call.
Thanks for being here. I'm Emily Breslin Convert. I am a community manager on the Facebook group called Coach Within by Salt Consulting. I'm also a podcast host of Swiss News in English. And I am so pleased and honored to have the opportunity to talk about Integrity Works with Michelle Giuliano. Integrity Works is the group coaching program. That's 12 weeks. It's an online journey and it starts on January 7th. Michelle, thanks so much for agreeing to talk to me today about your work and specifically about Integrity Works. I'd love to have the viewers of this video learn a little bit about you and your partner and co-creator of Integrity Works, Denise Nickerson. So if you would give us a few highlights about you and your work to start off.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Sure. Well, I'm Michelle Giuliano. I'm an American living in France officially, but right along the border, less than a kilometer as the crow flies to Switzerland. I've been abroad in various European countries and in Switzerland since 2001. And Denise Nickerson and I found one another because we're both creators, content creators. Denise is a vocational psychologist by training. She's a Fulbright scholar and a psychologist working specifically in that area of your vocational work. And together, she and I came together because I come from sports originally, from coaching. I was a collegiate rowing coach. And later on, I realized other ways to build fast, productive teams was in executive search. And so I became a real top contributor, a top 1% in North America executive search consultant in the high tech sector. And then I always really relished entrepreneurship. And so I designed some things, won some design awards, and really wanted to launch companies. And when it came back to my joy and my sweet spot, training and coaching was really where it is and where it's always been for me. And so Denise's complementary skills to mine just made a partnership really very natural. Denise had largely worked with women and with adolescents. She has been a university professor for several Parisian universities and for Parsons School of Art and Design early in her career. And so she and I collectively had talked to already over 10,000 people, me through executive search and her through admissions applications. She's spoken in, I don't know, 400 schools in almost 40 countries around the world. And so we had this skill set and this willingness to meet people where they are. And I wanted to design training programs, and she really has the skill set for that. So she's our lead teacher and our curriculum writer. And though we've both become coaches, I've always had that sort of user experience mindset and that coaching mindset. And so it makes our programs, whether we're working with companies or UN organizations, small and mid-sized businesses as well, not just global companies, but it makes our training really pragmatic. I had largely worked with leaders who are still largely more often than not male than female. And so we also brought these complementary databases, so to speak, to use the old-fashioned word. We had different networks. And then we just, very synergistic in terms of values and in terms of vision. I think both of us on some level really wanted to make access to world-class coaching more affordable, more accessible to people all over the world, lighter weight, easier to consume. And so when it came time to designing our own coaching and training programs, yes, we've worked with, well over 100 Olympic and professional sports coaches and lots of leaders. But we realized that everyone has an opportunity to lead in their own lives. And we had largely been teaching this thing called self-coaching because we know not only in the dark moments of the night, but also to whether you're going for mastery or excellence, or whether you're climbing up out of depression and anxiety and overload or illness or divorce or whatever are the pitfalls of life for you, that sometimes you're your best resource for getting yourself up and out, for building your first team, for recruiting new resources, for understanding how to breathe when it's really hard to breathe, and how to come back to center. And so we want the world to learn this process of self-coaching, because you might be the best and most available coach that you have at your disposal in a given moment. And it doesn't mean you don't need outside eyes from time to time on your particular problem, challenge, or opportunity. But if we can upskill your inner coach and turn that into a practice or a habit where you use self-coaching practices, then you can also, I guess this was a main motivator in particular for Denise, but imagine you've gleaned all this learning through life, right? You've gone to coaching programs, you've listened to inspirational talks or TED Talks, or you've read really inspiring books, you've invested in yourself, others have invested in you in your education and your professional development. And then so many people just sort of leave that as the event it was, or the workshop that it was, or they've filled in journals and books and notebooks and they put it on the shelf and forget about it. And so we want the process of self-coaching to also help people get a better return on their already invested time, energy, and money in personal and professional development, so that they can call out those best elements and use them, and be very pragmatic about how to use the best training and the best coaching and the best learning approaches and the best parts for your personality and your learning style.
Right. Right.
That's a quick synopsis.
Yeah, but a great synopsis. And it's very exciting for me. I'm going to be a participant in the January 7th Integrity Works cohort. And what's so appealing to me about everything you just said is the self-reliance aspect of the self-coaching that you've created, the system you've created. And I think so many of us do kind of wait for some external force or some program or help to flip that switch. But I'm looking forward to doing that myself. I'm looking forward to the independence of it, because I do think that, at least for me, any big change or thing I've ever had to do, any transformation I've ever made, has really come from within me and my own motor. And
Yeah.
so I'm looking forward to attacking my goals on January 7th with regards to fitness and health and nutrition. And those are my personal goals. But what can anyone in this January 7th cohort expect to experience? What can they expect to learn and
to live.
What is the
Yeah.
program about?
Well, thank you so much, first of all, for disclosing you're going to join us in January. I mean, that's really ultimately so cool that you did that. I think so many of our clients are really discreet and private, and necessarily so, and we guarantee that and assure that. And so it is precious, because we are just two women running a business at the end of the day. And the more people who come out to say, hey, I'm joining, I'm doing this, the more attractive I think the program is, when people understand that really high quality caliber individuals who are curious and talented and creators, and who are risking and daring and trying and living in different countries, that we have this international flair and vibe to each one of our cohorts, that are, all genders are welcome, all religions are welcome, all nationalities are welcome, all continents, wherever you are in the world, are welcome. And so thank you for sharing that, and also your personal goal. What can we expect? So Integrity Works is pretty rich. If you were signing up for Integrity Works today, you would immediately get access to what we refer to as the textbook, or the theory behind self-coaching. And the names are similar, so don't get confused. Integrity Works is the 12-week group coaching program, but the Integrity System is this self-coaching approach, the process, the 10 questions to walk yourself through, 13 case studies. And so somebody signing up today can immediately have access, and lifetime access, to the Integrity System, and they can start learning the self-coaching program. And I know that you've started that too, Emily, for yourself. And that's really empowering, because that's a self-paced program that people can start right now. They can learn the theory, they can take the training programs, they can start exercising mindfulness and using the mindful moments that are taught as well by Denise. Challenges are driven by me. I'm your activator coach. They're high energy. I think I film myself always at water so that I'm
Yes.
very dynamic. And the challenges are designed to pull you away from your computer and get you doing things. And so that theory people can start with right away. And the earlier you start that, the lighter weight, I would say, the program experiences of Integrity Works. You don't need to have gone through the integrity system in order to do Integrity Works. But you
Hmm.
do need to have about 3 hours a week, I would say, to be a full-time contributor to Integrity Works. 1 hour of that happens between Sunday and Wednesday, where you're going to touch in with yourself and you're going to complete a weekly anonymous survey. So participants in Integrity Works, they take an hour approximately. Some people do it in 20 minutes, some people take 5 minutes, but some people go on for a full hour. So I like setting the expectation on the outskirts of that
Hmm.
time commitment. But you invest in this time for yourself so that you allow us to seed content that you're going to experience that week. And you allow yourself reflective time, irrespective of any prior learning, irrespective of whether or not you've learned the tool of the week or whatever, but you spend time with yourself and you do this reflection. And everybody in the cohort is really strongly encouraged to take this reflective time, because that knowledge capture and that active listening process to yourself is really fundamental. It's one of the first habits that's formed in Integrity Works, and it allows us to aggregate and anonymize, or even further anonymize, information share, case studies, and that gives people safety that they can work on their most gnarly, hairiest, most difficult, challenging, most discrete problem, challenge, or opportunity that they're facing, while also having maybe a public something that they don't mind talking about in a group setting. And therefore we're doing applied learning, right? You're using a self-coaching approach. You're going to get a new self-coaching tool of the week every week over the 12 weeks. And then we're live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at night from 7 p.m. Central European time at night here in Europe. For 1 hour. And so that hour gives you opportunity for us to teach the tool and to break you out in groups on Tuesdays. And on Thursdays, our Wednesday midday, the survey is closed, and Denise and I are consuming the information and the anonymous questions and the anonymous case studies and kind of where people are, so that we can further customize the program so that on Thursday, any of those anonymous questions are being addressed, and any of those key learning areas that might be missed are taken advantage of. And all week long, there's on Friday a writing opportunity again, so that you can do this self-writing for yourself that is not submitted to us. But these writing prompts and these exercises really allow you to apply this learning not only to your life, but to apply and build a practice that enables you to use all of the best of the training you've ever gotten in your life. And any new training you get going forward becomes part of your self-coaching methodologies and toolkit, so to speak, as you then start to apply this learning going forward. You had a second
Yes.
question. So that's
Yes.
sort of the
That's
comprehensive view of the
yeah.
week. So the minimum
Yeah.
viable commitment, I would say, is try to sign up if you've got 3 hours. If you don't, it's okay. People are going to travel on Tuesdays and Thursdays in a course of 12 weeks. For sure, you might not be feeling well one day. You might be abroad. Those talks and workshop elements are recorded. Of course, we want you to come live if you can, because you can't workshop. We can't record the breakout sessions. You can't have the experience of that opportunity to know your peers in the cohort if you're not live. But you can get the learning if you need to miss out that week. But there are people who really want massive transformation, and they want to learn this process, and they want to do it again and again. They want to go into the theory, and there is a lot of work available for anybody who really wants to go in. There's exercises and challenges and case studies and examples and opportunities to connect with us live and say, okay, I came in here working on this aspect and now I want to work on this aspect. You can pivot throughout, and we go with you. And you have us for 12 weeks. It's the most affordable way to get two really superstar coaches, if I may say, on your team for 12
Right.
weeks while you're
That was
transforming.
going to be one of my sidebar questions as well, is can you pivot? Like if
Oh,
I'm heading into this with the idea that I really want to work on health fitness goals for the new
yeah,
year, getting really healthy, maybe shifting into being vegan.
neat.
I'm toying with that.
Yeah,
But I can imagine, because of the richness of this program, because I have been doing the integrity system on my own at my own pace.
yeah.
And I know I see how rich that is. And I know that integrity works is even a step further. I can imagine that other things can surface and other things can come up as you're going through the work and doing the work, and really I imagine it can be rather an intense process at times,
Yeah.
in the best possible way. I can imagine other things can surface and go, you know what? I need to I need to look at this. I need
Yeah.
to address this aspect of my life. And so the fact that it is flexible enough that you can pivot, and it's flexible enough that it's the time commitment is, I mean, it's rich and it's intensive, but it seems really accessible to most people, I think, which is
Yeah. So
wonderful to
your
hear.
question is, can you pivot and can you experience? I mean, I
Right.
think you're on a journey. I like that you use the word journey, and I like that you use the word flexible. I mean, one of the reasons why we think that this is the ultimate empowerment program is because you are learning self-coaching. And the point is to not build dependencies on us or any other methodology, right? That if you learn a process of self-coaching, then any new inputs, any old inputs can be part of how you learn about yourself and how you
Mhm.
develop your own inner coach. And so ultimately that's our net goal for you, is that you build an empowered inner coach that you
Mhm.
consult with and start to vibe with, that you connect with, that you deal with, that you face when your inner coach says, you know what, you need to act now. It's you've done enough thinking, you've done enough processing, it's time to take action. Action isn't the starting point, right? Action is the fourth the fourth unit. It's not the starting point. So that action
Right.
bias is really pronounced for leaders. Let me be very
Mm.
concrete. We have some people who've come in who've gone through a divorce, for example, and they've realized that I'm thinking about a particular man, and he had realized that actually career is fine, wealth is fine, certain things are fine in my life, health, I've got good health, God bless, but I need community. I need to go make friends. I need more people to surround me and my family, now that I've had this divorce and this fracture. And in the process of working on community, first of all, he realized he had one in also lifelong learners and in the cohort itself, that he was developing friendships and meeting people live, that or in off meetings, or on, he did a walk, he did a coffee, so he built community as a part of integrity works. But he also realized that he had had a bias against, because now he was a single dad, and he had a bias against working on his greatest passion. And his because it felt too self-serving. It's an
Mm.
audacious goal, and it felt like, and only by other people's examples was he arriving at. And so I think there's really something to be said. We cannot sell a group and we cannot promise a group, but we fortunately attract really amazing people. And amazing people allow you to learn via analogy. What are other people working on? What are the other problems and challenges that people are experiencing in life, and that they're willing to share in this, cultivated, safe, curated space together with me and Denise and in their groups. And so absolutely you're going to be awakened not only by your own process of deepening your relationship with your inner coach, but by the community that is forming. And what he realized, and I just think it's one example, what he realized is that if he didn't work on his gnarly, scary, amazing, audacious, passion driven, what felt selfish dream, not only would he maybe not realize that in his lifetime, which for him felt really deeply saddening,
Mm.
but he would be teaching his family and his team, his coworkers, that they don't have a right to do that either. That he would be modeling something that he patently didn't agree with.
Mm.
And so I think pivoting in that way is really impressive. I also think that we have an example of a woman, who came in. She's a business owner. She's super amazing. She has a successful business, and she was really juggling the demands of business and life. And she was coming in thinking about life balance. And what emerged actually is that, by showing up at 7 o'clock at night, which are the bewitching hours for where she lives, dinner time, bedtime of young children, she had to rely on her spouse and partner in a way that she hadn't really trusted them enough to do before. And not only were they, of course, great and competent and couldn't wait to do it, but by doing so, he was able to deepen a relationship with their youngest child. And she was able to realize that, oh, I have a right to this hour of power for myself and my business and my
Hmm.
own growth. And if I could get 2 hours a week of live time, what else could I ask for? And maybe by doing that, maybe by sharing the burden a little bit, not only would there be a benefit of my spouse and child having a deeper bond, which I really want for them and didn't know why they didn't have. I didn't know that I was the roadblock in the way of. And so she pivoted towards relationships and thinking about relationships in a new way, that she didn't have to only be mom, that she could also be spouse, partner, and be a receiver of the gifts of that, in a way that maybe she hadn't realized she could really be living in a more balanced and
Hmm.
interdependent relationship than maybe she had cultivated, um, aware or not so aware of. So,
Right.
and I think some
I
of that came from modeling in the group as well, in that there was a single father who let his children climb on him in the meetings by muting out, but didn't not come.
Right.
And I think she was like, oh, well, I have this gift of this spouse, and he's doing this thing, making it possible for me to show up. And she was appreciating in a new way. And so I think things get awakened just by virtue of
Mm.
showing up and trying something new. I mean, it's very hard to ignite a coaching relationship, whether you're doing that with outside forces and joining a group coaching program or getting individual coaching or getting coaching for your company, or you're developing a coach within. It's very hard to jump into coaching with and for yourself and not to experience changes. So it does take a growth mindset. It does take
Right.
a willingness to open up and learn and try
Right.
and
Right.
experiment, and to also be adapted to what is the what is the minimum viable commitment I can make to have a result that I want? Or if I'm all in all the time and going to do it all, and I'm a striver driver and that floats my boat and works in my life, is that what I want? Or what kind of change do I want to make a 1% change in that could still
Mm.
feel really good? Do I need to go 180 degrees in another direction, like stopping an addiction? Or could I
Right.
just feel slightly better, smile 1 minute longer in the course of a day, and what would that mean for me and my relationships and how I show up in the world, for my own
Right.
alignment, my own values, and my various roles and responsibilities.
Yeah,
So the applied
absolutely.
learning aspect, I think, is really pivotal. People come in because they either have an identified problem, challenge, or opportunity, and they're talented and they've always had coaching, or they know that they were invested early on in their lives and now they become the specialist or this leader, and nobody invests them in it anymore. They just expect them to have answers, and
Mm.
they don't have all the answers, and they don't know how to consult themselves. They don't know a line of questioning that they can rely on. And that striver driver, that awesome, excellent, um, person going for mastery, the Olympic champion, who won gold 3 Olympics in a row, that kind of person isn't always the most forgiving, right? They're with themselves. They can be really audacious, raising the bar of excellence time and time and time again to a level of lack of satisfaction in the rest of life. And so, how
Mm.
can we help people to feel better, not only do better, but to feel better and feel satisfied and to realize their results? And self coaching is part of that too.
Yeah, I imagine also, like going back to what you were saying about the group environment, I imagine that that's where that really is so valuable because you have the people, like you mentioned, the real high achieving, goal oriented people that maybe are a little hard on themselves. And then you'll have other people like myself, for example, in the cohort who is I'm a motivated person and I've achieved in my life. Absolutely. But I'm not so hard on myself most of the time.
Well, thank you for
And
that
I do give
example.
myself a lot of grace and empathy. And I've worked on that. And I think that dichotomy in a cohort can be really beneficial and really just such an opportunity for growth on so many levels. And on that note, who can we expect who can expect to benefit? Who is this designed for? Who is an ideal
Sure,
candidate for
sure.
integrity work?
I think entrepreneurs and business owners is a really good target because so often they have stopped investing in themselves. They've been in creation or in production or in content delivery, and they may have forgotten teaming strategies. They may have forgotten how to get their sleep and hydration and how to do sustainable habits for themselves. And they may not have, if they are running a team of, 10-person company kind of thing, they may not have a coherent learning and development program that allows people to express more of themselves. I think that when we talk about talented professionals, these are also neurodiverse people, right? These are people who are experiencing life through different lenses and different filters. The international community, people who travel, and leaders. And why I link international community and leaders is there's a level of isolation and aloneness. People can feel really peerless and poorly understood in life. And so I think that it can really help them tap into an inner power when they develop this rapport with their own inner coach, and they start to really understand who they are as learners and who they are as receivers of feedback or askers for feedback, right? But when we really understand who we are, then we can understand how to calibrate our emotions so that we're responding in a way that's coherent with our role, our identity, our values, our needs, our team, the expectations of others. And we can be really thinking about how learning emotional calibration can really help, how getting mastery over your thoughts can be the juice and the motivation and the impetus and, of the 12 major motivational styles, which one resonates really with you? What is working and what isn't? How do I increase motivation? How do I increase engagement with and for myself into my life so that I can more consciously lead my own life choices, my own actions, using my voice in a way that not only has an impact for my family or my community or my work or my health, but using my voice in a way that builds a platform that causes change in the world, whether that's right at home and with me as the example of the light, that me being the most brilliant me that I can be, the most authentic aligned me. And how does that parlay into taking action, or how does that reinforce the neural networks of the brain so that we are affirming habits that affirm the life we want to lead, and not affirming habits that are no longer serving us, or that got us to a certain point but aren't working now for whatever reason. So even our coping strategies, all of that is an opportunity for self-coaching. And everyone in the group will be working not only on a different domain of life, likely, but they're going to have a different problem. They're going to have a different viewpoint. They're going to be looking at it through a different cultural lens, a different gendered or lens of sexual orientation or whatever. We have so many differences in our expression of self, and it's up to us to determine how we want to show up in the world and how we are seen and how we are understood in context. So I can't wait for the January cohort. We run Integrity Works twice a year. I think that's important to say. We run it in January and in September. And, the ideal time to sign up is today, because you can get started right away with the integrity system.
That was my next question. When can we sign up? When can we enroll? And right now is really the answer, because
right now is the answer, because then you can
up. I know
start on
space is
yourself.
limited. And time is limited. It starts January 7th, with this just a few weeks away.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
I'm so glad you're excited, and I'm excited too. And I can't wait for you to meet your cohort. I get the benefit of seeing who's coming into the program, and for sure, we love working with teams. We love working with individuals. We love working with whoever's ready to test and try new approaches with themselves. That's really what it's about. And going through a learning process together just builds accountability. It builds and it helps you be less alone as you're going through the process, when you can touch in with your coaches live twice a week and touch in with the group.
Absolutely. It's really, it's such a, so well explained, so well described. I learned something today, and I've been, speaking with you and watching all of your amazing videos, and the Coach Within by Salt Consulting Facebook group, and I feel like a fairly knowledgeable person at this point going in, but I learned a lot today. So thank you for that.
That's so
And
cool.
thanks so much for taking the time to discuss your incredible and really important work. You talk about legacy a lot,
Yeah.
and I just can think of no better time for people to reflect than the end of the year on their legacy and moving towards realization of goals and shifts is the really the best way to manifest that. So thank you so much. And for the viewers watching, to learn more about the Integrity Works upcoming January 7th cohort session, go to offers.consulting/Integrity Works 2024. We'll put the link with this video as it's posted. And thanks so much again, Michelle Guiliano. And I really look forward to meeting my fellow participants of Integrity Works on January 7th.
And you'll see Denise. Denise Nickerson will be live again, and she'll be back with us. And so not only as a teacher, trainer, and as coach, but her brilliance, I think, will be felt and seen and lived and experienced again. And she really does bring that very important teacher role and that ability for synthesis that I really cherish. And look forward to having back in our cohort. So thank you so much for your energy, Emily. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate being here with you now.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.